If you knew that World War III or some other cataclysmic event was going to happen in the next 2 to 6 weeks, what would you do differently? Hey, Provident Preppers, I'm Jonathan.
And I'm Kylene, and we have been blessed to associate with some incredible people. And yesterday we were going to lunch and we just happened to meet some friends of ours. And the conversation kind of took a unique little turn. And we were talking about what would we need to do if World War III was to begin in September. That only gives us a few weeks to make some really fast preparations and to fill in some holes. And I thought that was a really interesting thought.
And truly it is. And we use that as kind of a unique opportunity to just kind of say, okay, what if? And talk about some of the things that might be our priorities, because that's what it would amount to is, okay, what are the true priorities and what things just have to wait?
And we are going to skip the discussion of everything that could happen, the reason why we might be looking at World War III, or exactly how it might impact us. But what we did do is we went back and looked at World War II, and we found the things that were scarce, the shortages, things that people wished that they had had, and things that we might be able to do today and beef things up just a little bit to make sure that we're just a little bit more ready than we are today. And we've made some great progress. Oh, the first thing I think is really important to talk about is that we need to simplify. We just need to simplify. If we go into an event like that, quite frankly, a lot of the luxuries that we have in life are just going to have to drop off and go away. And we are going to be focusing more on the basics, on food, shelter, clothing, fuel. Now, chocolate is, quite frankly, one of the staples. And so that is not
true necessity.
That is not up for
necessity.
Negotiation, but all the other luxuries. So simplify. As we're looking at this, we've only got a few weeks, right? And so we really want to make it simple.
One of the things that we talked about is our emotional and our mental resilience. You know, how strong are we emotionally, and are we resilient? Can we look at the situation and say, okay, I don't like the situation, but we're going to get through this and we're going to make the best of it.
So what is your reason to live? What is it that when times get tough is going to be enough of a hope and an anchor for you that you're going to want to go on? For me, it is my faith, it is my family, and the good that is around me, right? And so for me, I think I'm okay. I think that I've got enough hope, but it's good to do a self-evaluation and say, you know, am I going to be one of those that just says, hey, let the bomb drop on my house, I just want to be gone? Or are you going to be one of the ones that says, you know what, I want to survive, and this is why I want to survive. Hold on to that hope. Now, one of the things as we go into this new World War III that we may have is that we need to be prepared to live without electricity, whether it's due to an EMP, whether it's rolling power outages, whatever it is, we just need to be prepared to live without electricity. So once again, that's not our luxuries, right? That's, can you stay warm? Can you cook your food? Do you have light? If you require an oxygen concentrator or are on a CPAP machine, do you have the backup power to be able to run those? So remember, the basics. There's a lot we might not be able to do, but do you have the basics to sustain life without electricity?
All right, how about food?
Yeah.
Okay, that's probably one of the hot topics that we address on a continuous basis because we see so many comments and so many people who are interested in food. But food is truly important. Do we have the ability to have that food stored or the ability to grow some of that?
And the reason why this is so important is because he who controls the food supply controls the people. And this has been used throughout history to be able to conquer nations and control the people. So if you have the ability to grow some of your own food, if you have food stored, we are way above, right? We can make it through short-term stuff if we have prepared. And then number 4 is all about your health. Are you on chronic daily meds? Because quite frankly, if we go to war, the supply chain could definitely be shut off and you might not have access to your medication. So it would be a good idea to make sure that you are stocking up on those, or that you are trying to improve your health and get off medications where that is possible. Do you have medical supplies so that you can treat injuries and take care of your family at home without having to rely on hospitals and medical staffs that may be overwhelmed? Another thing that we have is backup antibiotics. Hopefully I won't ever have to use them, but I want to be able to know that regardless of what happens with the supply chain, if we have some type of an injury or illness that needs an antibiotic, that I have them here at home. I'll leave you a link to Jace Medical. I think it's a great place to be able to get your emergency antibiotics, but that is something that you have to think of and work out on your own what you feel comfortable with.
And then there's some things like, in my case, I've lost some weight. I want to lose more. I want to keep that going. I want to drop off because I feel better. And we've been doing better with our weights.
Yeah.
We're trying to do some
Wheel
weights to
lift,
keep
yeah.
the strength, and our daily walks, and just some of those things that help us to feel better and be healthier.
And to increase our ability to be physically fit and handle the rigors that might come. There are some basic things that make sense for us to stock up on because they were really hard to get in World War II. And that is a different circumstance than what we are looking at right now. But sugar was rationed, right? Fuel, soap, think about that. It wouldn't cost very much to go and stock up on some bar soap, which is going to last in your storage for a long time. Shoes. Do you have enough shoes and clothes for your family? If you have children, shoes are one of the things that are rationed that you can't get very often. Do you have enough for your children as they change size? And for us, as we're working more outside and trying to produce some of our own food and everything that goes along with that, walking more because of fuel. If fuel is rationed, that's one of the things that happens. Having good shoes is really important. So you might want to look at that now. In World War II, fresh fruits and vegetables were very, very scarce, right? It was really hard. And right now we have an abundance. I almost like, okay, just a little side note, squirrel. But I went to Walmart the other day and there were no bananas. Like there were no bananas anywhere in the store. And I just thought, wow, I wanted some bananas. That's one of the reasons I went there. And so we usually don't ever see that, right? Usually our stores are pretty well stocked. But any kind of food that you can plant in with your regular landscape, even if you've only got a little tiny space, think about planting something like some strawberries as a ground cover, or some different berry bushes, or something that you could just incorporate into your landscape. But any fresh food that you could provide for your family is going to significantly bless your lives. Another thing that they did was they had rationed eggs to 1 egg a week. Well, it's super simple to have a couple hens in your backyard and they don't need much food, right? You can actually, it's nice to be able to give them grain, but if you can't, you can supplement them with the leftover scraps. They love like the garden leaves and veggies, and I mean, our chickens eat all kinds of stuff, but meat and eggs were definitely some of the things that were rationed and in short supply.
And things like tools. Sometimes just having a few of the right tools makes life so much easier. Jobs happen so much easier.
Yeah, they do. And so think about it, garden tools, right? If you're going to be growing your own garden, oh, please get the seeds too. Now is a good time. If you don't have seeds for a garden, I will leave a link to a great company with survival seeds, but survival garden seeds, they're amazing. But make sure that you have what you need now in case you can't get it later. And I should have mentioned canned foods.
Oh,
because
yeah,
canned
absolutely.
foods, that was another thing that was harder to get right now. So big deal. Next time you go to the market, if you can only afford 1 or 2 extra cans of something, go ahead and pick it up. If you can afford a case, maybe now is a good time to stock up.
Just to be clear, we're not predicting that this is going to happen, but we have found this to be a useful exercise for us just to say, okay, what are the priorities and why aren't we getting them done? I don't want to be down the road after the fact saying, this is what we should have done. Why didn't we actually get it done?
While we had the chance.
Right.
Right, while we had the chance. Why didn't we do it?
So this has been a fun, useful exercise for us. It's something that we kind of grabbed hold of, and maybe you and your loved ones want to do the same. So, question of the day, what would you do if you knew World War III was just on the verge of happening? comment below. And thanks for being part of the solution.